and sees his girlfriend murdered, laying on the floor in a pool of blood with multiple stab wounds throughout her body. Welcome back, guys. My name is chriscameraguy. Stick around to the very end of this video. I will be reading and answering questions from 5 random comments from a previous video. If you would like to be featured on the next one, make sure to leave a comment below. Alright, let's get right into it. Today we'll be discussing the life of one of America's most cherished entertainers. He is an actor, model, producer, child abuse advocate, and entrepreneur. But is he as squeaky clean as he poses to be? Or are there secrets that lurk in the darkness? Some say he's a predator, a deceiver, and even a murderer. Today we will discuss the compromising life of Ashton Kutcher.
She was 14 when we started the show. I was like 19, right?
Right.
And they're like, okay, you guys are going to be making out in this scene. And I'm like thinking like, wait, this is like slightly illegal,
that's
right?
Probably your...
Kutcher was born on February 7th, 1978 in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, to Diane Finnegan, a Procter & Gamble employee, and Larry M. Kutcher, a factory worker. He has Czech, German, and Irish ancestry. He has an older sister named Tasha and a fraternal twin brother named Michael. What many people don't know is that Ashton's mom, Diane, wasn't aware of the fact that she was carrying twins during her pregnancy. 5 minutes after Ashton was born, Diane delivered Michael. The doctors and nurses were immediately alarmed and incredibly concerned, considering the fact that Michael weighed only 4 pounds. This initial revelation of Ashton's brother Michael's below-average birth weight was the beginning of many more medical scares and illnesses to come. As a toddler, Michael was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, which affected his right side and vision. The medical definition of cerebral palsy is a condition marked by impaired muscle coordination, typically caused by damage to the brain before or at birth. The Kutcher family wasn't aware of how serious the situation was, and although there were medical complications throughout Michael's life, there wasn't any differential treatment of the 2 boys in their home. Ashton and Michael's parents loved them both equally. It wasn't until Michael started going to school that the ruthless and insensitive children at the school began bullying Michael and making fun of his speech impediment, weak eyesight, and poor body coordination. Ashton became his brother's bodyguard, fighting anyone who would make fun of Michael. Ashton would go as far as only playing soccer on a team if his brother was included, or only accepting friend sleepovers if Michael was also invited. Ashton felt guilty that his brother had developed these illnesses while he was completely normal and healthy. Things would take a turn for the worse. At 13 years old, Michael developed flu-like symptoms, and doctors realized that he had contracted viral myocarditis, resulting in an enlarged heart. They gave him roughly 3 to 4 weeks to live, unless they were able to find a viable heart donor matching Michael's blood type. Ashton told his father he was going to take his own life by jumping off the top floor of the hospital so his brother Michael was able to continue living. His father Larry dissuaded Ashton from doing this and convinced him to have faith and that something would change, saving Michael from impending death. The family's prayers were answered because the following day, a 26-year-old man died in a car accident with a healthy heart, coincidentally matching Michael's blood type. The family later moved to Homestead, Iowa, where they would start a new life. But the problems wouldn't end there, because Michael ended up at the hospital suffering from a blood clot requiring open heart surgery. At this point, the twins were both enrolled in Clear Creek Amana High School, and after so many medical complications, stress, and anxiety surrounding Michael's unpredictable health, this created a distancing from Ashton. He couldn't bear any more heartbreak. He couldn't imagine having to lose his twin brother. So instead of hyper-focusing on the negative, he began to devote his energy to his newfound passion, acting in school plays. And at this point, Ashton began to misbehave. Even though his parents were dealing with his twin brother Michael's dwindling health, Ashton was busy committing crimes. He was first arrested for third-degree felony burglary and was sentenced to 3 years of probation and 180 hours of community service. Ashton eventually went on to graduate high school and began attending the University of Iowa, where he felt independent and ready to make new friends and party as hard as he could. He would often wake up in the mornings unable to remember the night before. He would drink so much alcohol that he would black out. And although this was slightly concerning to Ashton, it didn't matter enough for him to change his poor developing habits. This even led to him being kicked out of his apartment for being too noisy and disruptive in his community. But as fate would have it, all of these drunken nights led him to meeting someone that would change Ashton's life forever. He was having drinks with his friends one night at the Airliner Bar in Iowa City, Iowa, when a woman approached Kutcher and asked him if he had ever considered modeling. She invited him to join the modeling competition, Fresh Faces. Ashton felt excited by the new opportunity, so he accepted the offer, and Ashton ended up placing first place in the modeling competition. He at this point realized that he had something very special, so Kutcher flew to New York City and entered in the contest IMTA, a modeling and talent show. He didn't win this competition, but he had garnered the attention that he needed. Several modeling agencies wanted to work with Ashton. He soon landed a deal with Next Model Management Agency, and he immediately dropped out of college and began his modeling career by becoming the newest face of Calvin Klein in New York. Although Ashton was experiencing success and began making a decent living, modeling wasn't his passion. Ashton wanted to be more than just a pretty face. He wanted to be an artist, and he heard that there was an audition for a TV show in Los Angeles. So he bought a one-way ticket to LA and took his chances. Kutcher auditioned for 2 sitcom TV shows and landed them both. The first offer he received was for a sitcom called Wind on Water, and the second offer was for the character Kelso on That 70s Show. The show Wind on Water was a low-budget sitcom that only lasted 6 episodes before it was canceled. As we all know, Kutcher signed a contract with Fox and began acting on the 70s-themed comedy sitcom. At this point, Ashton was 19 years old. He became an overnight sensation as a teenage heartthrob of the TV sitcom That 70s Show. The first episode aired on August 30th, 1998. Even though most people know Ashton as a one-dimensional character, he landed minor roles in comedy rom-coms such as Coming Soon and Down to You early on in his career. He made his lead role debut in a comedy film, Dude, Where's My Car? I've personally have never seen this film, so let me know in the comments below if it's worth watching. This was a comfortable project for Ashton, considering that the script supervisor for That 70s Show, Philip Stark, was the same guy that wrote the script for Dude, Where's My Car? He actually wrote the character with Ashton in mind, and there are some parallel similarities to his character Kelso on That 70s Show. Philip and Ashton had a great relationship, and while he was constructing the script, he was making sure to utilize his knowledge of Kutcher to highlight his strengths in the comedic world. But regardless of this sentiment, the film was hated by critics, saying that Ashton is a bad actor, not funny, and one-dimensional. But at the end of the day, although it was a critical disaster, moviegoers loved it, and it was a box office hit, garnering $73 million worldwide on a $13 million budget. Everything was going well for Ashton. He was young, tall, handsome, rich, and famous, and also had just witnessed his girlfriend's murder. At the time, there was a killer dubbed the Hollywood Ripper. He took the lives of multiple women throughout the 90s and early 2000s, and also Kutcher's new girlfriend, Ashley Ellerin. On February 21st, 2001, Ashley and Kutcher planned on going to a Grammy after-party together. This is where things get fishy. Ashton goes to pick her up at 10:45 p.m. and sees his girlfriend murdered, laying on the floor in a pool of blood with multiple stab wounds throughout her body. Any normal person would have called the police, but not Ashton. He decided to call his team for advice. Ashton also called Danny Masterson. Chrissy Bixler was standing next to Masterson, and if you're not familiar with Chrissy Bixler, she is the ex-girlfriend of Masterson and later became one of his accusers. She many years later alleged abuse by Masterson, and as we know, he was convicted of his alleged crimes. Chrissy claims that on the night of February 21st, 2001, the night Ashton's girlfriend was murdered, she was standing next to Masterson when Ashton called. Danny put the call on speakerphone, and Chrissy heard Ashton state that he had found his girlfriend murdered in her home and he didn't know what to do. He didn't want to call the police because he didn't want to be connected to the crime or receive any negative press from the media. So Ashton decided to leave the scene of the crime and attended the Grammy after party as if nothing had happened. So essentially, Ashton Kutcher decided that it would negatively impact his career if his name was closely associated with the murder. This is absolutely sickening. I personally could not imagine stumbling upon a murder scene, especially if it's a loved one, and go on your merry way to a party with your friends. Now this leads me to speculate. Did Ashton Kutcher murder his girlfriend? By the way, before you come to your own conclusion, I would like to add that Ashton lied to the police and stated that on the night of February 21st, he knocked on his girlfriend's door to pick her up for the party, and she didn't answer, and he left and thought that he was being stood up. He did mention he looked through the window and saw what looked like spilled wine on the floor. These were all lies. He saw the dead body. She was stabbed 47 times. He saw her lifeless, bloody body, a woman he was having an intimate relationship with, a woman he cared for and trusted, and he, for whatever reason, decided to keep silent. Oddly enough, the police never even considered Ashton as a suspect in this crime. But I do believe that someday the truth will come to light, and we will all know the reality of the type of human being Kutcher might be. He later went on to have even more success, and in 2003, he starred alongside Brittany Murphy in a rom-com film, Just Married. The movie had a modest budget of $18 million and went on to gross $101 million worldwide. Again, the critics hated Kutcher's performance. It currently sits at 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. And at this point in Ashton's career, he was nominated for a Raspberry Award for Worst Actor. He then decided to go outside of his comfort zone and star in a more serious role, The Butterfly Effect, a film about a young man named Evan Treborn. He suffers blackouts during significant events in his life, and as he grows up, he finds a way to remember these lost memories in a supernatural way to alter his life by reading his journal and traveling back in time to fix traumatic moments and the murder of his girlfriend. The film's budget was $13 million and grossed $96 million worldwide. Again, a box office success, but critics again completely eviscerated Ashton's performance. Kutcher quickly realized that if he was to continue acting, he was going to have to make his own films. He knew he was at the pinnacle of his career, but he wanted to make more money and maintain creative integrity, and that's when he started his own production company. This almost cost him his whole career, because at this time he had pitched a show to MTV called Harassment. The show was picked up and Ashton began filming the pilot episode. Just to clarify, the show Harassment was the original name for the show's eventual name, Punk'd. The plan was to create a hidden camera TV show that would prank random everyday people. But it all came crashing down on January of 2002 when MTV and Ashton's production company was sued for over $10 million because of a tasteless dark prank orchestrated and planned by Ashton Kutcher himself. According to a suit filed in U.S. District Court in Los Angeles on April 2002, a Washington, D.C. couple, James and Lorianne Ryan, checked into the Hard Rock on January 2002 and found what appeared to be a dead human body covered and surrounded by blood on the bed. Then, according to the suit, Hard Rock Hotel security refused to allow the terrified couple to leave room 932. If this is Ashton's idea of a funny prank, he's one twisted individual. Keep in mind, he just 1 year prior had found his girlfriend dead, stabbed 47 times, and now he's recreating that scene on his prank show 1 year later. Seems wildly inappropriate if you ask me. Even though Ashton created a litigious fiasco, MTV continued working with Kutcher and decided to rebrand the show Harassment and renamed it Punked, and decided instead of pranking regular civilians, they would only prank celebrities. And it went on to be a massive success. Their first prank was on Justin Timberlake. There was boxes and a flatbed truck awaiting the singer when he arrived home from a golf outing with a friend. They explained to Timberlake that he owed the IRS $904,000 and his house was under seizure. They advised the singer that everything would need to be settled in court. A distraught-looking Timberlake grew more upset when his friend approached and said they were taking his dogs too. Millions of people tuned in every week to watch unsuspecting celebrities squirm in absolute dismay. The show went on to have a large influence on American culture and vernacular. For example, people began using the term punked whenever something incredulous was occurring in their lives. The next part of this story really makes me question what kind of human being Ashton Kutcher is.
Hilary Duff is in Lizzie McGuire. She also has an album out. She's going to be in a movie called Cheaper by the Dozen. And she's one of the girls that we're all waiting for to turn 18, along with the Olsen twins.
That episode aired on MTV in 2003 when Duff was 15 years old and Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were 17 years old. Kutcher was 25 years old at the time. At this point, I'm not quite sure how we can trust Ashton's moral compass and integrity. And even though he had clearly displayed himself as an untrustworthy human being, he was still massively successful. During this time, both Topher Grace and Kutcher were making between $250,000 and $300,000 per episode, adding to as much as $8 million per season of That 70s Show. Ashton's life dramatically changed when he met Demi Moore at a dinner party, and started dating in 2003 when he was just 25 and she was 40 years old. They eventually married in 2005, and Moore addressed her age difference directly in her memoir, Inside Out, saying, "He was 25, I was 40, but I'm telling you, we couldn't feel it. We were totally in sync from our very first conversation." Kutcher embraced family life and being a stepfather to Moore's 3 daughters from her previous marriage to Bruce Willis. By all accounts, they were a happily blended family. That was until September 24, 2011, when Sarah Leal, a 22-year-old model, told US Weekly that she slept with Ashton Kutcher on the night of his 6th wedding anniversary with Demi Moore. Sarah also claims Kutcher didn't wear protection during their encounter. Prior to that early morning hot tub session, Kutcher began his night drinking vodka tonics and prowling for women with pals Danny and Chris Masterson at Flux nightclub, where the pickings weren't to his liking. He said none of these girls were hot tub worthy, until he met Sarah Leal. Demi Moore was quoted saying, "I got a Google alert on my phone. Ashton Kutcher caught cheating flashed across my screen. It was during the weekend of our anniversary that had just passed." There were quotes from a young blonde replaying Ashton's pickup lines. "I felt sick to my stomach. I knew those words, and I knew that she wasn't lying." End quote. They ultimately separated in November of 2011, and their divorce was finalized on November 27, 2013. As fate would have it, Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher reconnected at the Golden Globe Awards in 2012. Kunis and Kutcher got engaged in February 2014 and welcomed their first daughter, Wyatt, in October of 2014. They eventually tied the knot in California in July of 2015. It was during this time that Ashton found a company named Thorn, an international anti-human trafficking organization that works to address the sexual exploitation of children. Primary programming efforts of the organization focus on the internet technology and the role it plays in facilitating child pornography and sexual slavery of children on a global scale. He held a press conference testifying on Capitol Hill, stating, and I quote, "As part of my anti-trafficking work, I've met victims in Russia. I've met victims in India. I've met victims that have been trafficked from Mexico, victims from New York, and even New Jersey, and all across our country. I've been on FBI raids where I've seen things that no person should ever see."
I've been on FBI raids where I've seen things that no person should ever see. I've seen video content of a child that's the same age as mine being by an American man that was a sex tourist in Cambodia. And this child was so conditioned by her environment that she thought she was engaging in play.
It makes me wonder, how is it that Ashton can't wait for 15-year-old Hillary Duff to turn 18 so he can have sex with her, but all of a sudden, he's a child abuse advocate? He was also making out with young Mila Kunis on That 70s Show while she was only 14 years old, and while Kutcher was 20. This all seems a tad bit fishy, and also, as Ashton stated, I've been on FBI raids where I've seen things that no person should ever see. And he's admitted to having to see child pornography through his work with Thorne. Why would he have to see child porn? What's the purpose for him to be on FBI raids? Does he have proper clearance and training? Or is he just a sick pedophile hiding in plain sight?
First kiss ever, right?
He was my first kiss. Why don't you tell him a bet you made with Danny about our first kiss?
No, it wasn't the first kiss.
No,
This was like
go
a
ahead,
second or
Ashton.
third kiss.
It was the first. It was like the first week.
No, it was not the first week.
Whatever. Let me tell you what happened.
No, let me tell you what happened.
No, okay, so I've never kissed a guy. So I was so, I mean, you know, Ash was attractive, and I was a 14-year-old little girl, and I was extremely scared for my life.
Sure.
And he was very nice about it. He was like, oh, don't worry. So I was like, okay. Then Danny goes and goes, dude, I'll give you $10 if you French kiss her. What would you stick your tongue in my mouth or some?
What? No.
For $10.
You're making it sound like it was like really. Okay, Dan, we had a little side bet.
Yeah.
I'll let you decide. And to further prove my point, Ashton recently wrote a letter to Judge Charlene Olmedo, the man responsible for sentencing Ashton's friend, Danny Masterson. And as many of you might know, Masterson, Ashton's co-star in the sitcom That 70s Show, was accused and convicted in a court of law of sexually assaulting 2 women. And in Ashton's letter to the judge assigned to Masterson's case, he pleaded clemency. In his letter, Kutcher said Masterson had been nothing but a positive influence on him throughout his life. And I quote, "Over our 25-year relationship, I don't ever recall him lying to me. He's taught me about being direct and confronting issues in life and relationships head on, resolving them, and moving forward. Danny is a person that is consistently there for you when you need him. While I'm aware that the judgment has been cast as guilty on 2 counts of rape by force, and the victims have a great desire for justice, I hope that my testament to his character is taken into consideration in sentencing." Kutcher added at the end of his note, "I do not believe he is an ongoing harm to society, and having his daughter raised without a present father would be a tertiary injustice in and of itself." So the question is, why would Ashton Kutcher defend a known sexual abuser? Especially considering the fact that he runs a non-profit organization with a sole purpose of putting sexual abusers in jail. Seems completely hypocritical and contradictory. And the real reason why Kutcher wrote this letter is, firstly, he wasn't aware that the letter would be leaked and readily available for everyone to read. He was under the impression that the letter would never see the light of day. Regardless of Ashton's letter of character, the judge went on to sentence Masterson to 30 years in prison. Ashton went on to release a video apologizing to his fans. He claimed to be regretful for writing the letter, but it doesn't change the fact that his reputation is now tarnished.
Of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault.
And here's my final thought. Sometimes there are people in this world who earnestly want to help humanity, uplift the broken, and utilize their abundant resources to enact positive change in the world. But sometimes bad people will hide behind the guise of religion, or sometimes philanthropic work to help deflect from their nefarious activities. Please be careful who you trust. Don't see the world through cynical eyes, but be cautious and analytical in who you entrust. As I promised at the beginning, I will now read 5 comments from my previous video and either respond or answer a question that you may have. I'll be reading comments at the end of every video, so please comment below any questions, suggestions, or anything that you'd want to tell me. The first comment is from Barry Jackson 1401, and it says, "Mint, excellent research and storytelling, and dang, nice coat, impressed." Thank you so much, Barry, for watching the show. Thank you so much for the compliment on the coat. I actually purchased it at Goodwill for, I think, $10. Next comment is from Eddie Lynn 5795, and it says, "Chris, the old show is nothing without you, bud. Keep on telling the stories. Very entertaining." Thank you, Eddie, for watching this brand new channel. Really means a lot. And I know a lot of you watched a previous podcast I was on, Richie the Barber Show, and that unfortunately came to an end maybe about a month or so ago. Thanks for continuing to follow me on this journey. Next one is from Lil Bird 5555. "Man, you deserve way more subscribers." Thank you so much. Like I said in a previous podcast that I was on, the channel started at 14,000 subs, and it ended up at 194,000 subscribers. And I think this channel is sitting at about 5,000. So if there's some of you guys who are watching who are not yet subscribed, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. And thank you so much, Lil Bird 5555, for the great wishes. I appreciate that. The next comment is from DJ Wylafia, I think is the way it's pronounced there. And I know that your name is Drew, actually, and I know this because you've been commenting on the Richie the Barber Show since its inception. And in the comment says, "You're the man, Chris. You help us get through the week." I appreciate you, Drew, for watching the show from the very beginning. I know you've been watching for over a year now, and you comment on every single video, and I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your support, the love, the encouragement. Thanks for being an awesome friend here on YouTube and a family member of here on the show. So, we are a YouTube family. Thank you so much, Drew. Appreciate that. The next comment is from Techno Retarded 8029. I love that. "I'm so happy for you, bro. You've handled things like a man and moved forward with positivity. I'm a fellow punk rocker, hopefully going to see Adolescents, Descendants, and the Circle Jerks, then Pennywise, which is my favorite band. They're touring with the Dropkick Murphys. Love you, man. Thank you." Thank you so much, Techno Retarded 8029. I love you too, and I love all those bands too. I love the Adolescents. I've seen them a bunch of times. Descendants, I have a couple of the records. I've never seen them live, but Circle Jerks, actually, when I was a kid, I was in a punk rock band. I played guitar, and I got to open up for the Circle Jerks at the Key Club in Hollywood. So that was really a beautiful experience. That was about maybe 10 years ago, and that was a ton of fun. Pennywise, I've seen live before. It was absolutely amazing. I love that band. Thank you so much, Techno Retarded 8029, for watching the show, for commenting such a lovely comment. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Well, that brings us to the very end. Thank you for watching. Thanks for your time. I know you could be doing many other things, but the fact that you're here with me right now truly means the world to me. Have a wonderful day. Take care, and I'll see you next Monday.